Hi, today I'm going to be giving you a little background information on special education and what it entails. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me at any time. So, teaching students with disabilities has not been around and in the schools for as long as people thought. People with special needs could not always be taught with all the other students. Luckily, in our case now, with so much support, rights, and privileges, we're available to help students who have disabilities. Early learning for students with disabilities is crucial for their everyday existence and working in this world. This is going to allow for students to enhance their quality of life, that of their families as well. This is going to enhance professional public awareness and needs of our students who have these intellectual disabilities. Some legislation that led for special education to be where it is today um, has developed since 1960s. With each new law and amendment, the programs for your child or children are slowly getting better, and every law and amendment that is passed adds to the benefits that they're having within the school right now. So during the 60s, parents and organized groups became really vocal and attracted enough attention to result into these legislations to be provided for students who were disabled and wanted an education. So here are a few acts that I thought were um, really good and kind of correlated with why special ed is the way that it is today. The first is the Education for All Handicapped Children's Act of 1975. And this was um, most far reaching and a revolutionary legislation at this time. It was furthest push for education in a while. And it states that all people between the ages 3 and 18 must be provided with a free and appropriate public education. And so this is talking about how each achievement and goal is going to be suited to each student's disability, age, maturity, and their past achievements of the child and parents' expectations. So each goal of their education is designed specifically for each student, and so it's a long process to make sure that each student is getting what they need specifically. Um, and this is also each child's need in the most least restrictive environment that they can be. And this means that they're going to be placed in the general classroom as much as possible. This is just going to better their education. And if the child would benefit from regular classroom, they'll be put in there. But if they would benefit from more one-on-one or specialized treatment, they would be put in that kind of classroom. And so, yeah, if they do need the extra help, they may be meeting their own needs in a least restrictive environment that is one-on-one or in small group setting. And they'll be moved to the class through the classroom or resource room, kind of whatever fits best for them. And this law was made a requirement of diagnosis and individualization of the education program. This push for students to be in the general education classroom as much as possible, and it was leading to great teacher participation. So this was not only just the special ed teacher, but this was the parents and the other teachers who were with them and helping the student along, and it kind of made it a whole group process instead of just being the one special ed teacher or the one teacher that was really looking at them. The next law that I thought kind of went along with this, it was the same law, but they had added to it in 1983, and this was an amendment that extended the services for the students from birth to 5 years, and I think that that's really crucial to get students into a time when maybe they should be learning a little bit more like their alphabet and everything, that they are getting the help that they're needed if it is needed. And so we're going to switch over and we're going to look up here at these 15 disability categories. Um, these are a list of 15 categories of disabilities that describe the children who will need the special education program. If the student falls into any of these specific categories, special ed services will be provided. Some are self-explanatory, but I'm going to be going through some of the categories to kind of help familiarize you with them. The first is autism. This is a very widespread disability. It's a developmental disability, significantly affecting the verbal and nonverbal communication and social interaction. This is found generally before the age of 3 and adversely affects educational performance. There's a broad range of students with autisms, and students fit under numerous categories. The second is deafness, kind of self-explanatory. The third is deafness blindness, and this includes hearing and visual impairments. The combination that causes such severe communication and other development and education programs that a child cannot be accommodated in a special education programs for the children who are deaf or blind. And then number 4 is hearing impairments, and that's a little more self-explanatory too. And then we have mental disabilities. These are significantly sub-average general intellectual functioning students. They have defects in adaptive behavior, and this is normally manifested during the developmental period, which adversely affects the child's educational program. Another term for this is, you might have heard, is cognitive disability. Number 6, we have multiple disabilities. These are more than one disability, like mental challenges or blindness, or orthopedic impairment, which we'll get to. And this is a combination of which causes such severe educational problems that the child cannot be accommodated in a special education program just because of their impairments. So this one's a little more tough because they have more than one spot to hit. And now orthopedic impairment. These has to do with this really affects a child's educational performance. Has to do with a lot with how they speak and express themselves. And therapists are normally implemented into the curriculum to help the growth of development. Other health impaired, this is kind of a large topic. This is having limited strength, alertness due to chronic or acute health problems such as a heart condition, or asthma, sickle cell anemia, and there's a lot more that go with that, just cancer and anything that would kind of get them out of the classroom. Education and rehabilitative services are certified and helped with them. They can be in the hospital, and so this can kind of touch a lot of areas. We have Tourette's syndrome, which is just repetitive involuntary movements or tics. The average age that you notice this is 7 to 10 years old, and they may become worse as they get stressed, emotional disturbances. This is kind of the inability to learn that cannot be explained, so they're unable to build or maintain satisfactory relationship with peers or teachers. They have inappropriate behavior. They tend to develop physical symptoms of fear associated with personal or school problems, and so it's a little more social work. 11 is specific learning disability. This is when they have one basic understanding of including using language or spoken word, or if it affects their listening, thinking, speaking, reading, writing, math skills. So your basic skills, if this is affecting you under this category. Speech or language. These are communication disorders as stuttering, language impairment, those kind of things. Traumatic brain injury is pretty self-explanatory. Visual impairments. This is including blindness as well. And last, we have pervasive developmental disorders. This is the delay in social, language, motor, or cognitive development. The child may have social development delays in one or more other category. So that this is kind of outlining categories that gives us educators a general idea of the student's disability and a way of starting to understand how we're able to help. So now we're going to come back to your right as a parent with a student who does have these disabilities, and participation of you or the parent in the development of your child's program is crucial for the growth of your student in the classroom. Um, there's a few agencies out there called the local education agency and the state education agency, and they'll help you ensure that you as a parent will be a member of any group that makes a decision on any educational placement of their child. Parents can examine all records and participate in meetings regarding the evaluation, placement, free appropriate public education are all that your student will receive. And parents have the right to inspect and review all records at any point in time that their child has at these public agency collections. They may maintain or use anything regarding the identification, evaluation, or education placement of the child. So these are kind of a couple of things that we go through. So the parent consent, your consent is required before the child may be evaluated for the first time, and you have the right to obtain an independent education evaluation of your child if you feel it necessary. Parental consent is required for any initial education placements, and you have the right to challenge or appeal any decision that's made by any teacher or doctor or anything. And you must be notified at any time when we're talking about making changes. Um, so a little bit of our assessments. Before we do anything, they have to be referred and your permission before any evaluation is started. But there are numerous tests that we take to be sure that your child is eligible, and they must be eligible in different areas of the suspected disabilities. Determination of eligibility will be made by a team of qualified professionals, and by you, so the child's parents or guardians. And they're not eligible if only the deciding factor is limited English proficiency or math or reading instruction. So if they don't know something, they can't be qualified. So, and one of the major things that we use is the IQ scale, which students are assessed to see where they fall on the scale of their general knowledge. This is taken very at the beginning when they start to assess their prior knowledge in areas that they need to work on the most. What the IQ score will tell is where the student is going to lie on the range of all of the groups of students. Average ranges from 85 to 115, and students who qualify under 70 are so if they're under 70, then they qualify under a cognitive disability, and you are exceptional over 130. So that's a little bit about that.